Hello everyone, we're going to talk about radicals today. And the most common thing thought of with radicals is the square root symbol. So a square root. The square root of a number is a number whose square is the given number. And that kind of sounds like cyclic talking. So the way to be able to, I think, helps to visualize it mentally. The square root of 25 is 5 because 5 squared is 25. That can also be looked at as also being a negative 5 because a negative 5 squared is 25. Likewise, square root of, say, 49 is 7 because 7 squared is 49. And the same can also be said that a negative 7 squared equals 49. So, what that tells us is that every real number has two real number square roots. So the square root of 25 equals a plus or minus 5, and the square root of 49 equals a plus or minus 7. But what we're going to primarily be concerned with is the principal square root, meaning the positive square root. So written as a radical, radical 36, the radical is the symbol, the square root symbol. And inside the radical, we call that the radicand. If I'm just looking for the principal square root, that is the positive answer. So the square root of 36 equals 6. Again, that is the principal square root. And this only concerns square roots, not whenever we go to other roots, such as cube roots or the fourth root. So rules for square roots. Every positive number has two square roots, a positive and a negative root. The square root of 0 is 0. Negative numbers have no real number square root, and they're actually called imaginary numbers. So no real number square root for negative numbers. Imaginary numbers are the roots. The radical symbol denotes the principal non-negative square root. And also whenever you deal with having a fraction, a rational number, under the radical as the radicand, a needs to be greater than or equal to 0, and b cannot equal 0 because you cannot divide by b. So with all of that being said, basis for square roots in talking about radicals, let's look at some examples. And what we're going to do is we're just going to find the square root. So here we have some problems. Find each square root. So the radical 36. Well, the square root of 36 is equal to 6 because 6 squared equals 36. There's other ways to be able to look at this, and we'll cover them in further videos. The square root of 121, well, it equals 11 because 11 squared equals 121. Okay, now what I would like for you to do is look at the other problems, solve them, and let's see if we end up with the same answer. Alright, for number 3, this is the negative square root of 144. And how I can view this, if it helps, I can just view that negative sign as a negative 1 times the square root of 144. The square root of 144 equals 12. So the square root of 144 equals 12 because 12 squared equals 144. So I know that a negative 1 times 12 equals a negative 12. The square root of 1 is simply 1. So I can view that negative sign as being a negative 1 times 1, which equals a negative 1. I know that the square root of 1 is 1, because 1 squared equals 1. Square root of 0, well, the square root of 0 is simply 0. So, and now what I have here is I have actually two radicals. I can rewrite this as that. The square root of 49 is 7, because 7 squared equals 49. And the square root of 100 is 10, because I know that 10 squared equals 100. And those are your square root problems. This is just an introduction to solving square roots and leading into dealing with radicals as a whole. So please critically think, structure your homework, and good luck on your homework problems.